Zion National Park is in the northern part of Arizona. We go to southern Utah. In southern Utah, there's red rocks continue, and this is called a checkerboard mesa. You can see the checkerboard patterns noticed on a few of the mesas or hills around this area. So there's another canyon to get to see inside the canyon. This was named for its checkerboard appearance. It's caused by horizontal cross-bedding of ancient sand dunes and vertical cracking due to expansion and contraction of sandstone during the winter. Around this area, very many desert bighorn sheep. Up close you can see the vertical cracking of a checkerboard. Still with life in between the cracks. The canyons. So those features of a checkerboard are found on other mountains as well. The pine, the regeneration. We can explore. So we go down towards the river. It's hard rock. The ever-present sound of the plain. But in this case, significantly drowned out, sometimes by the birds. The ponderizer pine is present. Very tough ground. The needles trap the soil, and the soil creates a space for a baby pine to grow. We can see quite a microcosm of different plants. So the moisture is critical. We walk on it, it's quite soft. If we go down to the little river valley, we see sand. One can imagine in the rain there will be water flowing through this canyon. This is providing a drain. The sand gives way. These are oak trees. Here, instead of pine trees, we have oak leaves. A different ecosystem again. So this little habitat. Even on top, there are barren rocks. The sandstone carved here. But we can see opportunities for life. Opportunities. Now we see a canyon underneath. A place for the water naturally going through. Pine cones, sand, moisture trapped here still. No doubt it was raining here yesterday, last night, so some water is still here. A surviving tree. As we look out, the opportunities for life are here. It's a different type, manzanita. Manzanita is a wild bush, grows around this area. We see further species here, a little pocket of sand flowing down the hill. Grass trapping the soil. Some prickly pear cactus. Different species living together, making a claim, seedlings sprouting. So this is the love of life, the survival. This foundation of life is water and soil. So we can see these, why they were chosen as some of the basics for the energy. So this pine tree growing, and what can imagine is not very much sand and soil, but enough to give it life. This expansion in erosion and freezing provides opportunities, as you can see in the cracks, for trees to grow. Everywhere is life. It's very beautiful, this environment in Zion National Park. Zion Canyon. Entrance to the park is through a tunnel from the east side. There's a chorus of birds. Life is everywhere. You can see Mormon's tea growing on the edge. Looks like they've been cut. So many useful plants for animals, for people. The Zion Canyon. These areas were havens also for indigenous people in the past. They had to move out to make way for national parks. Everyone can enjoy, but is it ethical? Cohabitation. These were not empty land. In the bottom of a valley floor, in fact there we can say the canyon floor, we can see what gives us life. And interestingly, reeds growing in the stream, some becoming large. So this variety of ecosystems in the canyon contributes also to the wonder and of course to the development. It's a very protected area where human beings stack stones, where the water flows gently but steadily along the creek. And from this creek view, the majesty of mountains. So this enters another type of fish, another type of organism can live here. If it can survive the dry season in mud, it can thrive and enjoy the moisture. Human history. Hunter-gatherer archaic people were here 2.5 to 7,000 years before now. By 100 BC, the Paleo people were taking shape. Geological survey. There's a lantern slide box. Slide player. Artifacts. So for those who would like free Wi-Fi, it is everywhere as well. Games, hobbies and crafts. Clothing. Bows. Bow and arrow. Many animals would come here, so it's good for hunting. Introduction of domestic animals disrupted native animals. Explores the transportation. American Indians used rocks and minerals. There are some examples. There's been turquoise and also some shell. So these were evidence of trade. use of medicines, some of the native plants. Prehistoric pottery, human storage. National Park Service. This is a relief model park. So the canyon is cut. Coming in from the east, there's shots in the river. It's taken there. The canyon goes all the way up and then comes down. So this was the irrigated area. They tried to cultivate this part in the 1920s. To provide food in the flat part of the canyon. At least we can see grass today. This is a Human History Museum. Shuttle buses take people around the canyon. Inside the upper canyon, looking towards the narrows that feed into the main canyon of Zion National Park. This is the Virgin River. This is a river which over the last few million years has carved the canyon. The time when it does floods. So that river used to be on top of a plateau. Now there's a few trees and grassland above the rim, and people walk well below. There's a soothing feel of water. Maybe this is because we came from water. The reeds, grown on the other side, provide a habitat. And you can also imagine how the people have lived here. 2,000 years, sustaining, much longer than the other cliff dwellings that we saw earlier in the film. These are much further. Probably this plentiful supply of water is one of the keys to their survival. It's also very tranquil and peaceful for us. What is the essence of life? You can see many things. Let's reflect on what's the meaning, what are the basic principles of environmental ethics. We've seen how people over the last few thousand years have lived. Some settlements were successful. others lasted only a few hundred years. There are both intrinsic reasons for this as well as extrinsic reasons. Intrinsic reasons such as love of nature, a sense of responsibility, a sense of future generations. On the other hand, provision of water clearly is something which needs to be nourished. In our decisions, we choose places for lots of water. But clearly these are very popular, so conflicts between people occur over the fight for water. If we are conflicting to others, we may fight for who has access to these places. So in fact, a serene environment has also been protected through conflict. Perhaps the others who were not successful were pushed into those dwellings, into arid environments such as Marble Canyon, which we saw earlier. Whereas those that stayed here were strong enough to fight off those who would take their land, those who would take their water. So this is critical. How do we get along together? We need to get along together. In a planet, we can't have conflicts on a massive scale. The division of land, of course, into sovereign land, each person, each community would like to have some property. If we recognize that property for communities, then we have sustainability. If we do not, they will conflict, they will just have disputes, there will be wars, there will be winners and losers. So it's very critical in our peaceful existence here that we overcome conflicts and live together respectfully with others. This whole picture of this competition is found in the types of plants that we can find. Only a few species are dominant here as the canopy species, but there are small plants. Seeds get blown into this canyon. Whether they succeed or not depends on their adaptation to the ecological niches in the different environments. Here on the next to the river is one ecological niche. And there on top of the hill, or dare we say mountain, is another ecological niche. They need different adaptations on top. Although it may rain sometimes, they don't have such a plentiful supply of water as down in the valley here. A little to the left we can see these little valleys, ecological niches, and there'll be a rock at the end, and before that soil and water can be trapped, and that will provide nourishment for those species. Let's explore further as we go up this canyon more of the ecological opportunities, and also just picture what it was like for people living here. Of course, there is a great danger of living in the next to the river, because the flash floods will raise the river by many meters, and of course that would wash away your huts. So you would need to live on the side of a valley, but still close enough so that you have access to all these resources. Maybe up there would be a good places to live, where you have caves, some trees, but maybe it's still too high. So you can see as we explore there'll be hints as to where we would find people and evidence of people in the past. Water also comes from the side channels. So this crack in the hill coming down and feeding into the water. Imagine, follow back, see where you can see water. See the water? Top. This is the shady side in the morning. And there's water gradually dripping down, concentrating, coming into this small sanctuary and feeding into the stream. So not all the water comes directly. Water also comes down each of these spaces. The birds say it all. There's an abundance of life here. One wonders what forces made these trees grow over. Of course, a canopy over the water provides shade, but maybe these are also going to fall one day with a flood, like this one. This has fallen already. But new branches come out of the old. And what is alive? What is dead? Birds circling, waiting for some food. What will they find? Circling, waiting patiently. Looking carefully and just drifting in the wind. The pelican falcons dive down and take birds. So these are the trees. Life and death. Canyon gets narrower. Sides appear even steeper than they were before. It's a path. Places to enjoy. Going towards the Narrows. It is dripping, constantly dripping. It's dripping not from the sky directly, but through the hills. So you can see the wonderful lilies and other flowers in this moist ecoclimate. Different coloured flowers. Providing a wonderful environment. So this is the Narrows, the top of the main canyon. You can see people walking up here. There's some rain, so the sides are getting wet. You see small stones, big stones. The roots of those trees look like the sand has been washed away. Rather precarious existence. on top, you can see the raindrops coming down. Very wet environment, quite cool. And the succulents growing on the side of the hill. And trees above, a lot of moss. You can also see the microhabitat of these flowers growing in the side of an overhanging rock. This is a hanging garden. They have a wonderful view. The flowers also on the side. And above us a tree, precariously balanced. The roots of the tree, some of it in the rock. And out comes the sun again. Power of a river. Look at the size of those stones. Same river that supports the tranquil flowers and provides a silt for things to grow. Also moves rocks.
Oh, I didn't see it.
Many people come to see national parks. The flow of time as people come and go. Flow, there's also hope for the future. I'm talking about peace of people. If people from every nation come and enjoy nature, then why can't they get together and preserve? And there are a convention on protection of natural and cultural heritage. Peoples of the world try and preserve things together. They do need actions as well as words, not just time on their holidays, but their actions on every day of activity need to preserve and be sustainable. Only then do these sites that we see have a guaranteed future in the state that it is. Of course, it will continue in some state. That is the force of nature. You can see these rocks. This is where we were before, a swamp. The water source that's feeding the swamp is on the cliff face, as we saw. So the rock cannot absorb the water, so the thin layer of soil remains continually saturated. So this is a swamp. You can hug a tree and feel the energy from this tree. It's been here a few hundred years. Seen a lot of changes. Supporting new ones. Spotting animals. This is this one. So, as we walk back into the main canyon, you can see the process of the deepening canyon. So in this Navajo sandstone, the Virgin River cuts down instead of sideways. So this is a slot canyon. On the other hand, this point here is somewhat widening. So this bend marks a change in the Zion Canyon scenery. From here downstream, the canyon is growing wider, and that's because of a different type of rock. The canyon wall just above the river, you can see a junction with a darker mudstone layer emerges. So it's darker mudstone. And as the river undercuts the looser mudstone, the hard sandstone slabs above top will wash downstream, and the canyon wall recedes. So we can look for scars in the cliffs. So you can see here that gradually this layer becomes wider. So it's to do with the geology of the rock. So from the narrow canyon we were, it's now wider because of the rocks. So as well as going deep, it's also gone wide. And this provides small flat areas. Quite tall trees. You can see also on the top different types of rock provide the beautiful colors. This widened point, the road ends. The shuttle bus drops off, more people to enjoy the Narrows. And you can see quite established trees with a large circumference, providing a new type of habitat. As we look further down the canyon, the river carves its way through different rocks. Area. This is the Zion shuttle. Shuttle bus every 5 to 10 minutes provides people a chance to see the canyon. We'll go down, next stop, and take another walk. Is taken a big bend. It's a big bend in the river, forced out by these rocks. So the river turns, follows a path around these rocks. It must be hard. Above, bend shape. Up the canyon, that's the top. So just whooping around the bend, we also see this wide area of the river. This also would have been a lovely place for people to grow crops. Constant supply of water. And there were irrigation canals set up by the Paiute Indians. That's why 2,000 years of people, maybe 10,000 in total. This is the water coming from Weeping Rock. Weeping Rock comes under a rather large rock.
4-year-olds are about the same.
See, providing access under the water. Steep terrain grows, plants grow in vertical places. Yes, the canyon walls do compress. It's unusual diversity of life in a very short distance. This is the box elder. So that is box elder tree. Side of shrubs. So showing the organic shrubs here. Sand sagebrush. Survives well without water. You see the water down in the stream, but here on the side a quite different ecosystem. Palmopestamon, a wildflower. And it can attract hummingbirds. So this is a nature path. Three-leaved sumac. But unfortunately there's a few leaves on it. Not too much. Stomach. Shrub live oak. South facing a slope across the stream is covered with small oaks that grow under dry, warm conditions. On this corner slope, this live oak grows a small tree. It seldom produces acorns. Still it must in the end. It's a moss. Lichens. So nature is a journey. There's baby trees growing. It's got a big tooth maple. Does that have a maple leaf? It turns red in the autumn, it must be pretty. Little hackberry. Can eat that. Velvet ash. It's a tall tree growing on the further down the hill. Talks about plant galls, insects laying eggs in the galls on the tree. Single leaf ash growing from a split in the rock. There's another small stream. Side stream. On the side you can see signs of flooding and signs of survival. This is called scarring rush. Grows best in the wet, muddy places, often in swamps. And it's often used to scour pots and pans. Scarring rush. This is maidenhair fern. Maidenhair fern. You can see the fern leaves. This is often grown in gardens. People like it also inside. They grow right out of rock, or it appears to. One branch is gone on this tree. A beautiful canyon. It's a haven for wildlife. When we compare to the plateau in a desert, these canyons are a sanctuary of life. Even though their existence can be precarious. These birds enjoying. Birds will eat insects, so eat berries, depending if they may be carnivorous or omnivorous. On the side here we have what's called Oregon grape, low-growing shrub. Grape, the fruit, has many medicinal uses and also is used for a pale yellow dye. Tall trees provide a lot of shade. And weeping rock. There are plants growing on the underside of the tree, of the rocks. Quite remarkable. Waterfall. Here. Rocket weeps. Some mud, sand. Okay. So water passes through the sandstone but not through shale. So these layers of rock. As the water moves aside. So underneath the hanging gardens. It's a view of the canyon. Hanging gardens. These hanging gardens provide a lot of moisture for the golden columbine. In different colours. We've seen some of this at the Narrows already. Weeping rock. Certainly weeping. In fact, one could say almost a waterfall at times. This is Zion Lodge. And to walk up to the Emerald Trails. Shuttles and people. So Zion Lodge is here. Some people bicycle, some people drive, some people come on buses, some people ride horses. This is a beautiful tree. Trailhead. 3 sets of forks with panoramic views up and down the canyon. Yeah, steep cliffs. Map. Don't get carried away is a good advice. So we're going to see the view from the top. Go over the river. And we don't fall down the cliff. It's towards the top of the canyon. Well, the river just keeps on coming. And then the river flows down the canyon. It's another beautiful tree. A lot of rain right now. It's at the Emerald Falls. Falls under the cliffs as well. For walking under the cliffs. It's wonderful. Beautiful flowers growing in the forest. So it's different habitats. And transport down by the river. Grama, it's a grass. Mixes well with turf grass if you don't walk a lot on it and it's dry. So this is the bottom of Zion Canyon and the main visitor center. Still a beautiful location. People get wilderness permits for going walking, preparing to walk. That's up the canyon. It's a bit of a rainy day. Different signs designed to make people think more about their trip. Zion National Park. So the part that we explored was just in this lower corner on the green line. It's a lot more people explore. So some warnings for people. So 93% of Zion National Park is wilderness. So the park rangers explaining to people. Very nice wood. The riverside walk, which knows more pools, weeping rock. These are walks which we've seen of a little trip through Zion National Park. It's As we've seen in these different national parks through Arizona and this one in Utah, there's a lot of natural history to be explored. The cohabitation of human beings, plants and animals, just keeps on going. We need to make it sustainable. Can it be sustainable? Well, there are efforts to do so. There is a shuttle going to Springdale to provide people staying in hotels an option not to bring their cars. There are different exhibitions on what to do. But one of the largest structures in the park, the largest area physically, is the car park. There is separation, water. There are so many cars. Many cars. Some of them guzzle so much gas. So is this really sustainable? Come and enjoy a few hours of nature by spending a large amount of fuel? It's a question for all of us when we visit. Maybe better than traveling by plane. Interesting, the flowers coming down from the cottonwood. It is blowing down. You can see on the ground cottonwood trees. It is ironic that in this seemingly unending desert, water creates most of what we see. North of Zion, rain falling on the 11,000-foot high Colorado Plateau races downhill. It slices Zion's relatively soft layers of rock and pushes the debris off the plateau's southern edge. And today we've seen from the beginning of a canyon to going through the middle and to the end of the main canyon. The edge of a canyon is not abrupt. It steeps down to a series of cliffs and slopes known as a grand staircase. Long before today's landscape appeared, streams, oceans, deserts, and volcanoes deposited thousands of feet of mud, lime, sand, and ash. And the immense pressure and heat of the accumulating sediments turned lower layers to stone, and the underground forces uplifted the Colorado's plateau, a 130,000 square mile mass of rock, over 10,000 feet above sea level. Then with rain, as seen in the Virgin River here, it comes through, works the plateau's minute cracks, loosening grains and widening fractures and eroding to this great canyon. So one could say that these canyon walls are solid and strong. However, water has made a canyon. We've seen bird sounds in the habitats, cottonwood leaves, and many other species of plant and animal. Today is slight rain. Imagine in heavy rain that there will be major floods, and these floods can bring down boulders and rocks. And we see stones here in the river. All of them have been moved. Some landslides in this area have also changed the shape of the river. So The Virgin River provides this life for many creatures in the desert. It also has changed the habitat and geology. Therefore, each species has its own niche in particular ecosystems. There are some species that are not found anywhere else except in Zion Canyon. So it's sometimes called a haven of habitats. And we can see that these different mammals have lived and died. Hunters first may have hunted large animals such as mammoths, and later smaller animals were needed as they killed off the large ones. So this essence of sustainability is also very critical. Unless we can be sustainable, we can't continue. In the Colorado Plateau, crops grow best between 5,000 and 7,000 feet. So this elevation in Zion's Canyon is nearly ideal. But of course, as we saw in the ancient pueblos that we visited before Zion Canyon, in the Northern Arizona video, you can see the dryness. So here there is ample water. The National Park film provides more explanation, and you can also find on Google more about the Zion National Park. It's the third most popular national park in the United States, after Great Smoky Mountains and the Grand Canyon National Park. And it's clearly a place which I recommend for people to visit and just think about the history and the people that lived here and walked here before you.